Welcome to the Business of Machining, episode number 6. I am John Grimsmo at Grimsmo Knives. I'm here at my shop.
And my name is John Saunders, and I am here at my shop in Zanesville, Ohio.
And I am near Toronto, Ontario, Canada.
And I'm staring at John Grimsmo with a beautiful Morisiki Dura vertical behind him with a Mitsutoyo indicator, and it's kind of funny because I have to pinch myself every once in a while because we did it, huh? Or
yeah.
we are doing it, I should
Yeah,
say.
totally. It doesn't always feel like it, but man, when you step back and look, it's like, it's here.
Yeah, amazing. And I told John, I was like, I might have to move rooms because we're running some plates on our Haas right now, and there's one tool that's pretty loud, and I obviously want to make sure we maximize the quality of the audio for our podcast listeners.
Yeah,
I
I thought about starting up my machines, but then I'm like, okay, let's keep the audio clean for this one.
How was your week?
My week's been very productive, just pumping out these RASC orders. That's our number one goal right now, and we're finally getting into a super good rhythm.
I'm actually curious, do you realize that? Because when we talked maybe 4 or 5 months or weeks ago, it was, oh, this fixture, or oh, this grind, or oh, this, or oh, that. And the last 2 or 3, I don't know if you realize it, it's just been, we're cranking.
Yeah, I've turned off my brain a little bit on the R&D side of things, and I'm like, they're good, they're really good, we just need to get them out the door. And also there has been, the odd R&D thing that comes up that I got to tackle. The past 4 or 5 days I've been running the lathe almost nonstop, making these little pivot screws, which has a fine thread and a Torx pattern milled into it. And
that's the part you machine with the 20 thou
right.
Torx head end mill? Yeah, it's
right.
Crazy.
And I just realized after making 150 of them that the Torx doesn't fit.
Come on.
They're just undersized, and I didn't catch it early enough, and I forgot to check, and now they're basically scrap.
Yeah, there's no practical way to fix that, huh?
Right.
You could get a really small Renishaw probe tip and probe them in.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
So, that sucks, but whatever, I'll just make more. It's kind of one of those reminders to yourself, trust but verify, don't let it go too far before checking everything.
So I literally was just going to ask you that because we're running our mini pallets right now on the Haas, the little 6x8s, and I don't have a QC methodology. I mean, I probably put too much faith and trust in the machine, and we now have a Mitsutoyo linear height gauge, so I've been walking over and testing each one, but that's even dangerous because I feel like the more I test and the more they're dialed in, the more I assume that bad things aren't going to happen. So right. I guess I'm sort of realizing we need to actually now, when we are running any sort of volume or production, we actually need a QC methodology that's beyond the whims of John's mood.
Yes.
I meant my mood, not yours.
Yeah. No, because you're in a good mood, you trust it. You're in a bad mood, you don't trust anything.
Right. Nobody wants to make scrap.
Yeah, and as we grow our business, as some of your guys are running and unloading your parts,
right.
They don't know it as well as you do. And I'm finding the same thing here. I've got my father-in-law working for me now, and he can load and unload pallets. So I'll run the machine at night, and he comes in the morning and unloads and assumes they're good. But if I had a checking methodology where make sure all these holes are the right size and all the threads fit good, then it's just less guesswork.
So why don't you build a go no go, like a little machine plate that has the tool, like a permanent, you leave a Torx head in it that you can test it, a threaded hole in it, and you do that.
That's a very good idea.
I like that little cute little station, like the RASC QC station.
Right. Or even separated for each different part. That's how the big shops do it.
And you could have 2 machine little bins or red Schaller bins in front that have pre-check, post-check. To me, it's all about, I've kind of come to this conclusion a while back that I actually can only make so many decisions in a day. It's kind of like your heart can only beat so many times. You can only take so many breaths. I can only make so many decisions. I think that's one reason why, as an entrepreneur, I am sharper in the beginning of the day. And that's why I've tended to push a lot of my mundane stuff off to the end of the day, because I can think and I'm fresh and I'm hungry in the morning. And that's not to say I get worn out or in a bad way. It's just the reality of it. But when I can QC something by... Well, I told you this before, when it's like the John Saunders that's just following directions, if I just walk up to a station that has a QC instructions, I just can mindlessly do it. And I'm not taxing my decision bank for the day.
Very good idea. I've heard that before, and I've been thinking about it for a long time now that, somebody said, assume you only have 100 decisions in a day. And even if that's what t-shirt you put on in the morning and what you have for breakfast.
Yeah. Yes.
Absolutely, yeah. So I'm definitely sharper in the morning, too.
Yeah. When in a little screw fixture, a screw go-no station could be so simple that you could put a bin of screws there, and it could have like the 1, 2, 3, 4 stations. And I think somebody like me or your father-in-law could walk up to it with no instructions and instantly realize what he's supposed to do.
That is the Paul Akers fast cap method of doing everything. He put up a new factory tour video a couple days ago.
Oh, really?
Which I recommend you watch, and everybody should watch. Go to YouTube, search for Paul Akers fast cap.
I think we're new to this podcast thing, folks, so I think we can actually put that in the podcast video description. I will make a note.
Okay. Yeah, it's a 13-minute video of him walking around the shop, showing all these lean little things. And I mean, I'm sure they have some experts, but every station, assembly station, manufacturing, whatever, has instructions so that any dork off the street can come in and read the instructions and get it done. Because the process is the expert. So
you turned me on to him probably a year and a half ago, and I listened to his podcast on lean, and even Paul Akers can sound a little smug, and you kind of want to punch him in the face, I think. But darn it, he's right on some stuff. And like one of the things I've learned is, I can buy torque wrenches on Amazon for $30 or $40, and rather than have one torque wrench, because we torque everything on our Haas now. Every vice handle, every fastener gets torque wrenched down and not just handled tight. So rather than adjusting in between 25 and 45 and 65 and 85 for all these different tools and fixtures and drawbars and studs, we just have dedicated torque wrenches.
Nice.
Oh my God, it cost me $120. It's complete no-brainer.
And then it becomes a no-brainer activity.
Yeah, exactly, and I don't have to find the right head for the, I needed a 5/8 ball versus a 3/4 socket.
And do you have it written on there what torque you keep it at the same torque forever? Or?
I will.
Yeah. Yeah, well.
Sorry, I'm not that good yet.
I remember back from my car days, this was 10 years ago or so, they always used to say to never leave your torque wrench tightened. Because, it'll lose strength, but whatever. I mean,
I'm using them every day, too. It's not like I'm storing them in a toolbox for 6 months.
Totally, and it's not like we're torquing wheel lugs on a car or engine bolts or something like that has to be 65, not 64.
Oh, that's true. Although, let me tell you, those ER32 collet nuts on the Meritools, those go to 85 foot-pounds.
Wow.
And that is not a small amount of torque.
Really? Because I have never torqued really anything in my shop now.
That's because you've made the total amount of chips that you made would fit into a gallon milk jug over 2 years.
5-gallon milk jug, come on.
Are you making tops at all?
Nope. Still going through the inventory that I made in December, which is excellent, but getting close to making more. Actually started designing one of those spinners that you've been seeing around, I'm sure.
No.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm really
Fidget
excited
spinner?
to design that. It seems like a really fun product.
Cool. I saw one that was apparently a Kickstarter with a button. Have you seen this? It's like a cubic inch, and it has buttons. And apparently it raised some just amount of money that makes you want to go crawl into a cave and quit everything that you do.
Yeah.
No, but okay. So I'm going to take that and extrapolate that into a life lesson point, which is, it's tough when you see somebody that makes a spinner or a fidget toy and makes more in their Kickstarter campaign than you've made in your cumulative machinist life or something like that. $1 million, $2 million. But on the flip side, you got to stay true to who you are, and it's something I kind of struggle with sometimes because our YouTube videos, as well as they do, and maybe a lot of people think, oh my gosh, I actually think we are probably the leading subscriber count channel. There's some other channels out there that are putting out incredible stuff with more views, and I think about that because I'm like, am I doing something wrong? And that's when I have to remember and realize I love what I do. I am John Saunders. My channel bounces between machining and Arduino and business, and you know what? That's what I want to do, and if that makes it a little bit less popular, so be it, but it makes me happy.
Yeah, it's true to yourself, and like you said, it's your channel. It's, my YouTube channel is John Grimsmo. I can put whatever I want on there.
Yeah. What's on tap for today?
Yesterday, I was machining the bevels on our Rask blades. You can see this in the video. Using this grinding wheel that I got a while ago, trying to dial it in. I burned probably 30 blades over the past month or two. Yeah. Just trying to get this thing to work. I finally nailed it.
So I think that woman, Linda, was going to send you a new blade, right? Or new cup wheel?
Yeah, so I talked with her yesterday for an hour. She's the grinding whisperer. She knows everything about everything. And I told her boss yesterday, I'm like, you got to give her a raise, whatever you're paying her now, because she's just a genius.
That's incredible.
So she's going to hook us up. I'm using a 200 grit right now. She's going to custom make us a 500 grit wheel that she says will blow us away.
But that's so weird, because if I think burning, I think that you're loading up the wheel, which means you would almost need something that has, I guess I'm learning too, coarseness has nothing to do with the dress structure. In other words, you could have a fine grain wheel with a rough dressing, which is going to give it more ability to store material and not load up.
True.
Is that right?
I think that's a little bit different for aluminum oxide wheels versus diamond and CBN wheels, which are more based on the grit size. But a good dress is still very important. But
and you're using the diamond or CBN?
I'm using a CBN wheel, yeah.
Okay, got it.
Cubic boron nitride. The wheel that I'm using is called a vitrified bond. So the way that the diamond particles are kind of glued in to the wheel structure is done with a vitrified method, which whatever that is. There's another kind called a resin bond, which is different. And apparently, Linda was telling me, a vitrified wheel is hard as hell and it won't cut anything really, but it'll last forever. A resin bond wheel is softer, it'll wear out faster, but it'll cut like crazy.
Interesting.
So
vitrifying looks like it's a heat process with glass. He's talking about with glass. Interesting. Okay.
So yeah, with a resin bond wheel, she says we should be able to take, instead of 1/10 every pass, we should be able to take 1 thou every pass if we want, and it's not going to load up, it's not going to heat up, it's just going to cut like crazy, and it's going to leave an amazing finish. And she says, if you're not blown away, I'll take it back, and you're not going to pay anything.
So that's awesome. But you said you already are happy. So what happened? You already got that one in?
Nope, I haven't tried the new one yet. I just officially ordered it yesterday. The old wheel that I'm using is currently working great, and we're not burning blades, but the finish could be a bit better. It's a little bit streaky now, a bunch of peaks and valleys. I mean, it looks really good, but Eric still has to work his magic on it.
And so are you willing to share what was I know you spent weeks dialing it in. Was it just speeds and feeds and depth and all that, or was there more to it?
Speeds, feeds, depth, width of cut, and the amount of passes. One of the things, like I clear it out with an end mill first to remove most of the material, and then I come in with the grinder and I just kiss it 1/10 at a time. Basically, I went from, I think I was doing 20 passes before with the grinder, and now I'm doing about 50, and it works.
Is it still a good time saver though? Oh my gosh! I guess it's automated by the machine, but holy cow!
But it's going at 70 inches per minute. With the milling and the grinding, it's about 6.5 minutes per side of the blade.
Oh, okay.
So it's no big deal, really.
That's not that bad.
And to save Eric significant time on the hand finishing, sanding, grinding part of it, totally worth it.
Okay, I didn't know if it was a 0.4 inch a minute type thing.
Right. Yeah. 50 passes at 1 inch per minute would take forever.
Right.
But
it's amazing. I'm totally eating my words on. When I got the Haas, I was like, oh, it's going to be such a big step up for us. We'll have a 6 months cushion to learn it, and it's going to be no stress. And I am all of a sudden, like 2 nights ago, we ran it, quote unquote, lights out for the first time.
I saw that on Instagram, yeah.
I mean, I've run it and I've left the shop before, but this is the first time with multiple setups. We're using a modified post, which doesn't retract all the way up between more coordinate system parts, which is a little bit dangerous. It's okay, we prove it out. But it's just, I was nervous, but now I'm all of a sudden I am already 3 months in looking for saving time and wondering where I can push things harder and get things off the machine quicker. I was completely full of myself when I thought, it'll be no big deal.
Yeah, no, it's go time now. I mean, you have this awesome machine and you want to make parts with it.
Right. I have an idea for our orange vices because I do need to be able to tear them off and put them back on more easily and not have to tram them in. So I'm just going to make 2 tramming bars that have the bolt hole pattern on the top across 2 bars, and I can lay the vices on the table and then just put those bars over them and poke them into the 1/2 inch holes, and that should get me square and perpendicular almost instantly, lightly to bolt them down and then sweep them in.
With pins? Like fixture pins?
Yeah. Put fixture pins on the top, not on the bottom. Make sense? So basically put a bracket, put a bar across the top of the vice body.
Right.
That has a pin for so it's 4 vices, so there's 8 holes going left to right in X.
Oh, okay, yeah. It's 2 per vice.
Right. And then I could do even a second bar, 1 bar at the far end of the vise, and the other bar at the other end in Y, and now I've got tons of locating pin geometry stuff, and then I just square that whole thing up to the machine frame, and then each one I could bump in a little, but basically, because I need to maintain the same location of the vices, because it's becoming important for some of our repeat jobs, how we're building fixtures, and how we're basically making sure a face mill on vice 1 doesn't touch the part on vice 2.
Right. Yeah, that's a really good idea. And then, in that theory, depending on how accurate you really want it to get, you could just have 1 work coordinate offset for all of them.
I thought about that. I've never been a huge fan because if I want to dial in or tweak part number 3, then I don't want to go move it in CAD. I just like having.
Yeah.
I've been on the. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, I remember we talked about this in episode 2 because I just went through and listened to it, and
Got it.
we talked a lot about that. And I'm a fan of having individual coordinate systems too, but I haven't really moved to more than one vice at a time yet. I'm thinking about loading up 5 vices, and
Yeah.
do I probe them all in, or do I run them? Tool 1 hits vice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or do I finish vice 1 and then move to vice 2 and finish vice 2?
No, you do tool 1 across all of them.
Right.
Oh yeah. And Fusion does a really good job. You can just change order, optimized by tool, and it's called. Al Watmo described it as like, what was his analogy? I got to get that, but it's basically like it'll do everything it can with that tool. But if you call that tool up again later, it knows it can't do that because it's got to do stuff before it.
Right. I've got some tool breakage issues with my knives because they only last so long, the small tools. So if I did all 5 and it broke on the 5th one, and this is the first tool of the night, it's going to hang there all night waiting for me to fix it.
Can't you?
But if I finished vice 1, then at least that could be done. Then I could finish vice 2.
And you're not. You don't have any extra tool holder spaces, huh?
I might have a few. But if 1/16th carbide end mill breaks, it'll stay there. So I can't just take a new tool and go because there's a piece of broken carbide in there.
If it breaks, it'll break in the hole. It won't fall out.
Yeah, I'm doing a slot.
Ugh.
So
I'll pretend you didn't say that.
Yeah.
What are you slotting?
The lock bar cut out.
You can't. You don't have that water jet roughed.
No, I don't.
Why not? Why don't you have the water jet run a strip down the middle? Then you're at least not totally slotting.
2 reasons.
You've thought about this.
Accuracy sucks with water jet,
Yeah.
and then positional accuracy becomes a big thing with the water jet blanks. And also, I don't know if this is true or not, but it's kind of my theory that the rough water jet finish is kind of harder on end mills than just raw metal. It's like abrasive. I don't know if it's true, but
Right.
kind of makes sense when I think about it.
Yeah, and it's 1/16. There's no way to do any sort of an adaptive there.
Yeah, it's a 62 thou end mill in a 68 thou wide slot.
Right.
I could adaptive it, but it would take forever. So I just do a full depth slot at 2 inches per minute, and it works amazing. And I can get probably 20, 30 handles out of one end mill, which is phenomenal.
Right.
But it'll eventually break.
Right. Got it. And so do you always wait for it to break, or do you proactively swap out after, say, 20 or 25?
I wait for it to break unless some other hole features become a problem.
And does it always break in the slot, or does it break?
Yeah, pretty much always.
Got it. Okay, I guess that's interesting. So it's literally wearing out. It's not breaking coincidentally. It never breaks after the second one.
Right. It lasts for a long time, and then it just breaks,
Yeah.
probably because it's too dull and then loads up a little bit. I know that like chip evacuation is not the most ideal in this situation because I'm going, I'm taking a 60 thou end mill, 125 thou deep, so 2 times diameter deep, and I'm just slotting the crap out of it in titanium. But it works. So
Yeah, and don't laugh, but obviously gang drilling is too slow. And what if you gang drilled spots along the way to give it a chance to flush the chips out, every inch?
what do you mean gang drill? Just drill a series of holes to clear it out?
Yeah, you've never gang drilled before?
No, I never heard the term.
Yeah, so it's not an uncommon thing at all where to avoid slotting, you could just peck a series of holes and then boom. Now, it's slow, usually. It can actually be a great way to remove material, and I've heard some good arguments about, drills do a great job of evacuating chips vertically.
I've heard that too.
But what I'm thinking, and this is complete, just talking out loud, is what if you drilled a 55 thou hole every half inch, and that gives the end mill a chance to really shake itself free of chips, get more coolant around it, gives it a little break.
Yeah? Would that make it then an interrupted cut, and is that a bad thing, or...
I wouldn't worry about that at all.
Yeah.
Because you think about it, every end mills are always by de facto interrupted cuts.
True, that's a very good point.
Now, if you work hardened, I don't do anything with titanium. If you work harden it, then that's a big question of problem.
Right. That's interesting. I do have a 59 thou drill that doesn't get used very much, but it's in the machine all the time.
Serious?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I could easily clear that out. That's a great idea.
Sweet.
Whew, learning every day. I love it.
This is what we call the blind leading the blind.
Yeah.
No, but I talked about that. I recorded a Fusion Friday yesterday, and I figured out a way in Fusion to more efficiently put a toe clamp in a model and have an adaptive strategy, avoid the toe clamp. And I just got so excited because I'm like, folks, we live in a great world. The software is amazing, and it's not perfect. I'm not saying Fusion's perfect either, but holy cow, like, it's so fun to sit there and play and figure it out and get this stuff to do what we wanted to do. Like, it's awesome.
Yep. You almost feel guilty being so needy in what you want it to do, but then when you get it, you're like, oh my god, yes, I love it. Like with this grinding these bevels, I mean, I'm so happy it actually works now.
Yeah, that's amazing. Speaking of grinding, we had the sales guy or service tech from the Okamoto dealer come out to our shop on Tuesday, and he has our grinder running.
Nice.
And it made me feel so good because he looked at me and he's like, what'd you pay for this? And I told him, and he's like, holy cow, you got a great deal. And it's just, I wasn't too nervous, but I wanted to make parts with it, not have a 6-month repair project or a $6,000 hydraulic custom fitting or something,
Yeah, but sometimes you don't know by buying it, right?
I saw it under power, and I knew the mag chuck worked, and I tried to fish out the story of it as best I could. And look, condition tells you a lot. Actually, I need to do a video on this because at the Richard King scraping class, he taught us some really good ways that are new to me on checking machine accuracy really quickly. Like, put an indicator and a mag base in your pocket, walk up to a machine, stick it on there, and you can check some stuff really quick. Condition tells you a lot. It's pretty rare, in my opinion, to see a machine that has problems that's otherwise in pristine condition.
Right. That's a good point. If it's a good quality machine to begin with.
Right. And this was if I could say so, like the Rolls Royce of grinders.
Nice. And what year is it?
81.
Whoa, so it's no spring chicken. It's older than us.
It's old, and that was the other question: is the ways? And I haven't done a lot of grinding. It runs, but we don't know how accurate it's going to be.
Right.
I threw a steel block on it yesterday, and just did passes on each side, like seriously as quick as could be. I let it spark out for 5 passes. Walked over to my new Mitutoyo height gauge thing and did a run out check on it, and it was 4/10 across 3 inches. So that's terrible, but I'm not chalking that up to anything because I don't really know what I'm doing on grinding.
Right. You can fix that.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. But they say that about grinders, that the old ones, like some of my knife maker friends, get grinders from the 50s, and they're like, this thing is awesome.
Exactly. The iron is great. Literally, the composition of cast iron has changed. There was a really good Suburban Tool video.
I love his videos.
Yeah, he went around to a machine rebuilder, and they talk about why they restore these old grinders for like 25 or 30 grand, because literally the cast iron, it's not like an opinion thing where guys are like, oh, I like the old stuff. Literally, it's better stuff. Oh, and then I had the best call ever with Peter's Heat Treat yesterday. Like, what a great example of a company that answers the phone, is super excited to talk to you and help and share information. And I've given them I've sent like 4 jobs to them to heat treat in the last year, little things.
Yeah.
And we're talking about these fixture plates that we're making for Tormax, and they were so helpful and so nice. And he was like, try this steel or do this, or we'll send us this and we'll do this. And then we started talking about nitriding. We started talking about cryogenics. Like, It was great.
Did you talk to Brad Stallsmith there?
His name was Nate.
Nate, okay. Yeah, Brad, I think, is the main knife maker guy. But, at Peter's Heat Treat there, I've heard huge raving reviews from a lot of people, and they're a huge place in this tiny town in Pennsylvania. And apparently like knife making is 10% of their business, but then they have this 90% of other like industrial stuff, and they're just running nonstop. It's awesome.
Yeah, and it was nice too, because I was like, help me understand the pricing. And instead of this like, I'll transfer you over to our sales department, he was like, oh, it's $53 for the first 20 pounds. It's $1.30 every pound after that. I'm like, Oh my God, thank you. You just told me everything I need to know in 1 sentence.
Yeah, make it easy. And then especially with volume, heat treating does not become expensive.
Right. Anodizing, heat treating, tumbling, all that stuff is cheap. Although we I think it's the one you have. Or no, maybe it's a little bit bigger. It's the Mr. D. Burr.
I think yours is the real version of the Chinese knockoff that we have.
Got it. So, oh my God, it's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, eh?
We just keep throwing things into it. It's great.
Yep.
Stepping up to a machine that actually has like a loop system for your soap fluid is amazing.
Okay, it's actually got a little pump on it? Yeah, we hooked one up with just a bucket and an aquarium pump.
Yeah.
And recirculate it. But yeah, that makes a big difference. If you can put a little filter in there to take out the crud, that would be good too. Even just a drain filter.
Was yours closed loop, or does the stuff that is the coolant that goes through it just get put into a trash bucket?
Closed loop. So
Okay,
it
so
just
it
recirculates everything. But those stones, they wear down and they make dirt and grit, and the water gets super muddy. So especially your brand new stones, they're gonna lose a bunch of stuff right away. But
Yeah. So exciting, though.
yeah, it's awesome. And Eric has found out that with more water, you get a shinier stone wash. With less water, you get a rougher, like more aggressive, blasted look.
Huh.
Yeah, so
That's good to know.
a lot of little tricks involved with that.
Didn't you break the axle on yours?
Yes. So ours is the $800 Northern Tool version.
Right.
And I'm assuming yours was not $800.
Well, so I thought about buying the $800 one. I really did, because I was like, this is my first foray into it. And then the one I bought was a little over $2,000. No, and I felt this guy Brad at MC Finishing was really helping me out, and they are a dealer for Mr. D. Burr, and I was like, this is an example where I want his help, and he would have helped me even if I bought the Northern Tool one, I think, because I buy the stones and soap from him. But I was like, John, quit being a bootstrapper. Like, we're gonna run this thing a ton. And I thought in the back of my mind, I knew your axle had broken, so I was like, you know what?
That's a good idea. I thought they were more like $3,000 to $5,000 for Mr. D. Burr. So at $2,000, I'm really impressed with that. I like it.
I think it was, I have to look, I think it was $2,700 sitting on my floor. Like, freight, the 300 pounds of media, and a sample 2 gallons of soap, which will last me forever.
To ship mine from wherever Northern Tool is, in Chicago or something, to Canada was pretty expensive. So I actually had it shipped to Lakeshore Carbide, and then I just drove there, picked up some end mills, threw it in my trunk, and then drove it across the border back.
We'll edit that out.
Yeah, that's true. Why not?
That's funny. That's awesome. Does yours work now?
Yeah, it's working solid. Eric is certainly nervous about the longevity of it because we rely on it. And if it broke tomorrow and it was unfixable, we'd be in a bit of a pickle. So we're trying to figure out a solution for that.
What'd you do to the axle, or did you fix it?
I made a new one.
You turned one?
Yeah, this was 2-3 years ago when I had my Tormac lathe. No, my Grizzly lathe, I think.
No way.
I think so. Yeah, and I turned this new axle.
Is there YouTube video footage of you operating a manual lathe?
Oh, it was CNC at the time.
Oh, okay. Good. Thank God.
But no, I don't think there is footage.
That's funny. Oh, man. All right. I unfortunately have to go to physical therapy for my stupid back after that car accident, so I have to run.
Fun times. But yeah, we're just passing 30 minutes here, so we're good.
Oh, how about that? Anything crazy going on today? Anything actually bad or whatever? Tough?
No, it's I'm kind of sad it's Friday because we're doing so good this week.
That's awesome. Yeah, I saw the Instagram photo with...
I've machined up to 112 and shooting for 300.
That's what... Okay, got it.
Yep.
Rock on then. Cool.
All right. Well,
crush it, bud.
You too. Good chat today.
See ya.
All right. Take care. Bye.